Once you're logged into GMetrix, this is your home screen. You can edit your profile here. If you need to redeem a new access code, you would click on this button, and then whatever code Brian provides you with, you would type it in here and hit redeem code. So that's used for access to take additional practice tests, because those access codes will expire or run out eventually. So if you ever need to redeem a new access code, that is where you would go for that. So to take your practice test, you want to make sure that you scroll down to Microsoft 2019, because you have to make sure that you're taking the right test. So the first section is Microsoft 365 apps. You're going to scroll past that, then it's Microsoft Office 2016. You're going to scroll past that. The tests you want are at the very bottom, Microsoft Office 2019. Now, you're not going to be working in all of these blocks. The certification tests that you are preparing for are the associate tests, except for access. That is considered expert. But the block you're going to be using is this first one, Word Associate 2019. Do not practice in Word Expert 2019. That is a completely different certification test that you will not be taking at all. That is a much more advanced certification test. So this first one for Word, then you have Excel Associate 2019. Again, here's Excel Expert. You will not be practicing in the Expert. You will practice PowerPoint Associate. You will practice Access Expert. Access is considered an advanced certification test, so it is much more difficult than the other ones. And then lastly, the Outlook Associate, which is the last one. Okay, so Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Access, and Outlook. No expert practice tests. So let's go into the word block here. Once you click into that, it's going to give you a listing of your different options. Your screen may look a little different. It depends on how big your window is set to. It usually opens to this size, so you're more likely to see it set up like this. So the first section is practice exams. These are how your certification tests are actually set up. So even though you want to practice the different tests that I'm going to show you, the actual setup is going to be like the practice exams, with one exception. Outlook is set up differently than the other ones. So Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Access are set up like practice exams. Outlook is set up like a skill review test, which I will show you. Study guides, these are just like multiple choice questions. You can practice those if you want to. I really don't think it's necessary, but you're more than welcome to go through those if you want. I will not be providing videos for those questions. It will tell you if it's right or wrong. It's just a multiple choice question. Now, quizzes, you have concept review, simulation, and skill review. The only ones from this section that we will be completing are skill review, which I will show you shortly. First, I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to show you the practice exam. So I'm going to go ahead and click my start button. It's going to take me to the next screen. It gives you a little rundown. Language you can choose, the mode that you can choose. This is important, especially when you're first starting out. So you have a testing mode and a training mode. Even though it says testing, it's still considered practice. It's not like you're taking the certification test. You will be practicing in both of these different modes. Now, for any beginners, when you're first getting started, getting comfortable with GMetrix, always start with the training mode. This will actually provide a light bulb icon that gives you the step-by-step process on how to complete the question. So as you're going through these, you get stuck on a question and you don't want to refer to my video, you can go ahead and look at the steps and try to proceed on your own with that. There's unlimited time for these practice tests in training mode. Now for testing mode, it gets rid of those light bulb and help options. So those go away and you're pretty much on your own to complete the steps how they tell you to in the question. It also gives you a time limit of, I believe, 50 minutes. So once it hits 50 minutes, the test will end, the practice test will end, and it will score your test based on what you've completed. So again, the testing mode is good when you're, just about to get ready to take your certification test and you want to practice your timing and make sure that you can get through the questions on your own with no help button. Now, of course, the certification test, it's not going to have these same questions that they offer here. These are just practice, to test how much, you've learned through our courses. But they will be different questions. So I'm going to show you what the practice exam 1 looks like in training mode. It tells us there's 35 questions, and 50 minutes time limit allowed on these, and a passing score is 700 out of 1,000 points. Again, let me reiterate, these are all practice tests. Training mode, testing mode, still practice tests. All right, so with training selected, I'm going to go ahead and click Start Test. You will not get this option. This is only because I have 2 different access codes available. So it's going to load GMetrix. It's also going to load Word 2019 for me. So it loads a document up at the top, and my questions are loaded at the bottom. For practice exams, they're split up into different projects. So this particular one has 7 projects. So this document is project number 1. And project number 1 has 5 tasks on it. So it's 5 different steps that I need to complete on this particular document. The first tab gives me an overview just about what the document's about. Not really important for taking the practice test. But again, just tells you what the document is about. So I can click on the tab for task number 1, and it tells me what it wants me to complete. On the last page below the heading Weekly Rental, convert the table to text, separate the data by tabs. So you would go through and complete those steps. Now again, if you're just beginning, you're probably like, I don't know how to do that at all. Here is your little light bulb icon, which is available in the training option for this practice test. I can click on that, and you can see it gives me all the steps to go through to complete that particular task. So I would go through, and you can refer to my actual testing videos on how to complete that. Go through those steps, and after you complete it, you can mark as completed, and it'll give you a little check mark in task number 1. And you don't have to mark them as completed. It's just for reference for yourself, so you're not double backing and doing the same question, doing the same task twice on accident. You can click on the tab to move to the next task, or you can hit next task, either or. So I can move to task number 2. That light bulb option stays on for me. So it says in the second sentence on the first page, link the text log cabin to the web page wikipedia.org. So again, I would go through and complete those steps. Now, if you want to skip a question, you want to come back to it later, you can always mark it for review. And you can see that gives you a little orange exclamation point in the bottom left-hand corner. So that's just a little icon to tell you I need to come back to this one. I'm not really sure how to complete it just now. All right, so that's all. You would go through all of your tasks, and then at the end of your 5 tasks, you want to move on to the next project. So you can grade this particular project, and the window that will pop up is going to tell you whether you got them correct or not. So obviously I didn't do any of the steps, so I get 5 red X's. Now, if you got them correct, it's going to show a green check mark for you. If you get some green check marks and some red X's, you want to go back and retry that particular project, and it'll take you back to that document. Now, if you get your green check marks and you want to proceed to project number 2, you would go ahead and click Next. All right, so you can see project number 2 comes up. It loads a brand new document for you with 5 new tasks. You could go ahead and grade that one when you're done and keep proceeding through the practice exam. Now I just want to show you the window that's going to come up when you're done with the last project, your final project. Now if you're in the middle and you're taking a break, come back and finish tomorrow, you can always save the project. And I suggest always saving it to the cloud. That way if you're logging on to a different server another day, it will still be saved. All right, I'm going to go ahead and grade all of these just to bring you to the final window. Okay, here's project number 7, our last one. It's going to grade that for me. And once I hit next from here, it's going to load the summary of the whole entire test. It'll tell me which tasks I viewed, if I marked it for review, remember that orange exclamation point, any that I've marked as completed. You can navigate through the different projects, see any that you've skipped. And when you're done with a practice exam, you always want to hit Finish Test, and that will submit it so we can see how you're working through your tests. Click Yes from here, and it will then grade the whole entire practice test for you. Again, don't worry about your grades for the practice test. Just, do the best you can. Go through and use the light bulb. Obviously, I didn't answer any, but it's going to give you a breakdown of any areas that you should work on, focus more on studying for. So it's just a summary of those questions. You have an objectives tab where you can see all the different tasks and what they asked of you. And again, all the questions. All right, so once you get that grade, you can go ahead and hit your Home tab, and it will bring you back so you could start a new practice test. So those are how the practice exams are set up and how the certification exams are set up. So now I want to show you how the skill review practice tests are set up. I'm going to go back into Word. Again, make sure to scroll down to 2019. I'm going to scroll down into my quizzes section and the skill review. So again, you want to practice on practice exams and skill reviews, all of which have videos associated with them in the Google Classroom. I'm going to hit my Start button. Again, you would choose your language and your mode. Make sure to switch that to training mode, especially in the beginning. So this particular practice test, Skill Review 1, has 58 questions, 50 minutes. Now that's for the testing mode. Training is unlimited, so don't worry about getting under those 50 minutes. And again, the passing score is 700 out of 1,000. I'm going to start the test. Now, if you're loading a practice test for the first time, you will more than likely get a window when you begin it that says Download Test Resources. All you have to do is click start. It will download them for you, and then you can hit continue. All right, so it loads GMetrix for me. It also loads the Word 2019 application. Now the skill reviews usually come up with the questions in the left-hand pane. You can see instead of at the bottom. You can always dock this question wherever you want it. You see this three line icon right here. Choose that and then dock the test runner to different positions. You can put it to the right if you want to. You can place it at the top. You can place it at the bottom. Or you can have it kind of hovering over your Word application by selecting undock. You see how it's just floating above it? Me personally, I usually keep mine either docked to the left or docked at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and put mine to the left for now. So this type of test, practice test, doesn't have it split up into projects with different tasks. It's just individual questions. So your task, you can see it at the top, task 1 of 58. So it has the step that it wants you to complete. Create a document from the report design template and save the template as a Word document named sample in the GMetrix templates folder. So you would go ahead and complete that step. Again, if you're just getting started, you're not comfortable, you haven't been through the Word course yet, use your light bulb icon. Go through the steps, because once you continue to go through these steps and just practice before the course even starts, once you do get into the course and we start learning these different topics, it will start to connect and you'll be like, oh, I remember that from GMetrix. And then when you go back and practice these tests again, you'll know how to do them on your own. So don't worry about not knowing anything from the beginning. You're kind of just going through the motions for now, and everything will start to connect later on. So here's that light bulb icon. Click on that once and it tells you step by step on how to complete that. Once you go through all the steps, here's your next button, and it's going to tell you whether you got it correct or incorrect. So I got it incorrect, you would go back and try again. You get the green check mark, it's correct, you just go on and continue. So you would do that through all 58 questions, and then once you get to the end, same as the practice exam, it's going to give you a summary at the end, and then you would go ahead and submit your grading for that practice exam. If you ever need to save your work to come back later, again, hit those 3 lines, and here you have a little floppy disk icon. You can save and exit the test. And it will bring you back to your home screen. Now, when you're logging on later on and you want to pick up where you left off on that save test, you can see now I have this big block here, resume test for Word Skill Review 1. So I just click on that. It will load up the practice test right where I left off the last time. All right, so that's basically it on how you'll be working in GMetrix. Again, you can take these practice exams as many times as you want. You're going to be taking them in using any of your free time once we get into the actual course curriculum of Word and learning the different topics from our textbooks and activities. You'll be practicing these in your free time along with those.